autumnal day here in England. I always seem to talk about the weather at the moment, so why break that habit? I thought I would just mention it again today because it is freezing. It's very cold for the beginning of October here in the UK. The jumpers are out and on, as you would have seen from my recent wardrobe switchover video. I've got cozy knitting on my knitting needles. We're lighting candles in the evenings. We really are in the midst of what feels like middle autumn at the moment, and I suppose we are in a way, but it always feels like here in the UK, normally we always get this sort of transition time between the end of September and the beginning of October, where it's normally really quite warm. But this year we've just gone straight into it. As soon as it turned September, pretty much we were into the colder weather, which, to be honest, I have to say I'm kind of liking. I do love autumn. Still love going out for my walks because I love that feeling of coming home when you've been out on a really chilly walk and you just have a cup of tea and be cozy and like snuggle under a blanket and do some knitting or whatever. I'm saying about walks, but I don't know if anyone else's dog does this. Our dog really doesn't like rain. Like, he doesn't mind a little bit of drizzle, but if it's properly raining, he's not one of these dogs that you can just take out in any weathers. He'll literally go to the door and turn around and refuse and say, nope, I'm not going out in that. So it's actually quite good for us. I definitely don't feel like we need to be walking in all weathers. But yeah, let me know if your dog does that. I think it's quite unusual actually, because most dogs just like to be walked all the time, don't they? Anyway, I thought I would make today's video just a really lovely, peaceful, cozy, like sewing and crafty kind of vlog. This week I really thought I'm going to make something. I'm going to go to my fabric boxes, see what I've got, pull something out, and I'm just going to make something from my stash. So that is my plan for this week. I always find the biggest inspiration for me is just going to my fabric boxes, because that's where I keep everything, getting everything out, getting rid of the scraps and putting them into the scrap baskets, and just seeing what I've got, rolling it all up neatly. Kind of gone away from that thing I was doing where I was tying everything up and labeling everything really nicely. I'm still rolling things, but I haven't been actually labeling things, so I need to get back into that again. But anyway, I have had a little bit of a tidy up and just had a little look at what I've already got. Last week I did talk about all of my plans for autumn and winter time, and I'm still kind of in the planning process for that, in that I don't have many of the fabrics that I need to make any of those things. So I thought before I started on those bigger plans, I would just try and use up a couple of fabrics maybe of what I've already got. The fabric I want to use is this lovely William Morris viscose. I bought this recently when I went up to the fabric boutique and I shared it, so you've probably seen it already. It's just the softest and most drapey viscose. Really, really lovely. And I've washed this and it hasn't creased too much either. So I really want to get this made into something this week, and I'm going to talk about my plans for this in a minute. But just before I get into that, I just wanted to share with you how I'm currently organising all of my like sewing plans and keeping track of my fabric and all of that kind of stuff, just in case it's helpful to you. I don't know about anyone else, but this whole sort of September time, autumn time, and the whole back to school thing just makes me want to sort out my entire life. I feel like this every year. I feel like I just want to have a big declutter, a big organise, just get everything sorted and just get my head a little bit more organised as well, because I hate that feeling where you feel as though everything's all over the place. I like to know that things have a system and things have a place. I'm definitely feeling that in my sewing life as well. So over the past few years, I've tried various different ways of keeping track of my sewing plans and all of my fabric. I tried Trello for a while and I just couldn't really get the hang of that. And I felt as though I wasn't keeping up with it. So something that I've been using recently for keeping track of my sewing plans and actually all other aspects of my life as well is an app called Notion. I don't know if you've heard about it or not. And to keep all of my life lists on there as well. So I actually use it for planning my YouTube videos and also keeping track of life things, like places we want to visit, things I want to do around the house, decorating we want to get done, all that kind of thing, and it's all in one place. So most of my lists and tables and things on Notion are pretty basic at the moment, but I've actually been trying to learn how to use the different features in Notion so that I can streamline and organise my life that little bit better. So I've been looking at some courses on Skillshare recently about how to improve my skills on Notion, and Skillshare are kindly sponsoring this part of the video. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you'll know already how much I love Skillshare. But if Skillshare are new to you, then they are the largest online learning platform for creatives. And they're also run by creatives as well. So there are literally thousands of courses available to choose from on their website. And they're all run by industry experts that can help you take your hobby or your side hustle to the next level. They've just actually added 3 new class topics to their already expansive list. And those are creative careers, creative inspiration, and AI and innovation. So if you're interested in any of those topics, you might want to check those courses out. I found this learning path on Skillshare all about how to leverage Notion in your day-to-day life in order to become more productive and more organised. And I'm hoping that this will really help me with organising my day-to-day tasks in my work life, my home life, and also my sewing life as well. Learning paths are sequential classes which you take in order, which build on each other to reinforce a particular skill. So if there's anything in particular you're looking at learning, for example, Notion, Skillshare have taken a group of those lessons and put them all into one course so that you can watch them one after the other. And it's a really good way of learning something super quickly. Skillshare have a learning by doing approach, and their courses are really interactive as well. So lots of the class teachers will actually set you a project or something to do, which you can then share with the course teacher and with the group of students that are also taking the same course. You can post your work in the comments and you'll get lots of feedback as well, which I think is great for building community. Since there's so much on the Skillshare website, if you're not sure where to start, when you become a Skillshare member, Skillshare will ask you a few questions about yourself, like what your hobbies are, what your goals are, and then they will hand pick some courses that they think are suitable for you, which is really, really helpful because it can be overwhelming sometimes when you see the amount of courses that there are to offer on the website. So learning something like Notion might not be necessarily something that you're interested in, but there are loads of other creative courses that you can take on the website, such as sewing, knitting and crochet, and all those cozy autumn crafts that are great to do on a chilly evening when you just want to be snuggled under a blanket at home. Skillshare are kindly offering the first 500 people to sign up using the link in my video description a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. As I've mentioned before, I started my Skillshare journey with a free trial and I'm still here 3 years later. I really do enjoy their courses and I find them super helpful when I just want to look something up or learn a particular skill really quickly. So do pop over and check out the Skillshare website after you finish watching this video. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this part of the video. So from Notion and organising my life to getting on with some crafty projects this week, let's talk about this fabric. So I originally thought that I would make another Anthea blouse with this. I thought it would suit this print really nicely, but then when I looked at the colours in this, I thought it was actually quite similar to my previous Anthea blouse. So I wondered if I'd be better off trying something different. So even though I have, I think, 2 meters of this, I'm actually wondering whether I can squeeze a Marni blouse out of this. So this is a Marni blouse pattern. I'm sure you've seen it. I've made it a couple of times in a plain fabric, but I've never actually made it in a lovely print fabric. So I'm thinking I would really like to make like a plain version. So without any of the pin tucks, none of the frills, nothing like that, just the plain sort of yoke bodice. I'll put the line drawings in so that you can see what I'm talking about. So a plain yoke at the top, and then instead of doing the pin tucks on the sleeves and the frills on the shoulder, I would just have plain long sleeves. And I'm wondering if I can squeeze that out of this 2 meters of fabric. The problem I'm going to have with this is I think it does have a directional print, and also we obviously have a possible pattern matching conundrum here as well. But the problem I have with this Marni blouse is that it does have 2 panels that run down the front of the blouse, and it might be pretty obvious if I do have some mismatching flowers on the front of my blouse. Could be quite difficult, so I'm going to have a look and see how much fabric I have and whether or not I think I can squeeze this out of the 2 meters. If I can't do it and it's going to look really awful if I don't pattern match, then I think I'm going to have to rethink and make something else. You're catching me in the middle of the thought process of this whole blouse. So another thing I want to make this week actually is I'm trying to do a little bit of a seasonal switchover in our lounge, and I don't really do a lot of sort of seasonal decorating or anything like that, but I do try and sort of change the colours when we change from summer into autumn and winter time. So at the moment in our lounge we have blue, and I'm thinking that for autumn time I'd really like to bring in some browns. I thought I would like to make some little fabric pumpkins. I make one of these every year and I seem to sort of add to the little collection that I have. I will show you later in the video the pumpkins I already have. These are super quick and easy to whip up, and I actually have a video tutorial of how to do these, so I'll link this down below. So that's what I want to do this week as well. So lots of cozy autumn crafting I'm hoping for this week. Ended up getting the Marley blouse out of that fabric quite easily in the end, so that was really good. The only thing I didn't do in the end was bother to pattern match. I might regret that actually, and I might end up cutting the little bits out again. I'm going to have a look at it tomorrow, but I was thinking that because the pieces are quite small, you've got like a yoke piece here and then you've got the panels, the rest of it is all just gathered, so you're not really going to see, you're not going to be able to tell which parts are pattern matched. I may be using the completely wrong kind of fabric for this blouse, we will see. But it's possible that if I think the pattern matching is really off, I can recut the tiny little yoke pieces because they're very small and have a better go at it. So I'm hoping for some sewing time tomorrow. I thought I would just quickly pop on and share with you some knitting. So I have started 2 wintry projects recently. First of all, I am knitting a hat for my daughter. So this one, I recently have been working a little bit with mode at Rowan, and me, my mum and my daughter went recently to local John Lewis in Cambridge to see their new makes of their new designs in a little fashion show, and my daughter really liked one of the hats that one of the models was modelling and asked if I would knit it for her, which was really nice. So I'm knitting at the moment this hat here. So all of these mode at Rowan patterns, and now a selection of them are all in local John Lewis's. So if you go along to your John Lewis, you should see a selection of the mode at Rowan new designs, and I absolutely love all of their colours and all of the patterns actually. But yeah, we really like this chunky hat. It's a really easy, very chunky garter stitch hat. It is a lady's one, but I think it's easily going to fit her. So that's what I'm knitting at the moment. I'll see if I can put a better image on the screen so you can see the proper design. But we're using this yarn. It's called the Super Chunky yarn, and it looks like this. Mine's unravelled a little bit, it just fell on the floor and then just completely unravelled itself. But anyway, it is knitting up super quickly. I've knit this in around one evening. I think this could be like a 2-hour project if you just sat and did it from start to finish. I think it would take you a couple of hours because obviously the yarn is so chunky and it's just a simple garter stitch. So that's where I am with this at the moment. I'm actually up to the decreasing for the crown and then I will be done. So that is a very quick project, and I need to get a pom-pom for that one. And then the other thing I'm in the middle of at the moment is this sweater, which I mentioned I think in last week's video. It's the Ludham sweater. This is a really easy, again, stock and stitch chunky knit made from a really super soft yarn. I'm really enjoying knitting this, and again, because it's quite chunky, it's knitting up super quickly. So I've done the back, that's what it's looking like. It's a really straight back. You just knit up to the neck and then do a little couple of shoulder decreases, a little bit of shaping for the neck there. I'm really looking forward to having this done because it feels like it's going to be so cozy and warm. And then I'm about a quarter of the way up the front, maybe a little bit more than a quarter. So you just knit up a little bit less to the front so that you can shape for the neck. So that's where I am with that. And then this is what the yarn looks like. It's so squishy and soft and fluffy. It's kind of it's like a blown yarn. I'm getting to know a little bit more about yarn textures now, and this one apparently is a blown yarn. It's where you can, if you look really closely, you can see that the fibres of the yarn have actually sort of been blown apart. So that's what gives them the really cozy texture. And then I thought I'd quickly show you the pumpkins that I mentioned earlier because I've just been out to the garage to get those. This is such a lovely, super quick and easy project. So this is one of the larger ones, and then I've got a few smaller ones as well. And then I've got a blue one as well, which isn't actually going to go very well with my brown decor. And then I've got a knitted one as well. And if I can find the pattern for this pumpkin, then I will leave it in the description below. It was really easy and quick to knit, and it's a really good one for using up scraps as well. So what I want to make this week is just a couple more of these pumpkins, and I'm going to see if I've got any brown. I think I'm going to use a brown ribbing fabric that I've got as well. I think that will work well. So I will hopefully see you again tomorrow for some sewing time and get a little bit of my Marnie blouse done.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
I realise I've done quite a lot of sewing there without even popping on to say good morning. I felt really excited to get on with sewing this morning, so I've just been happily sewing away with the washing machine going on in the background, so you wouldn't have heard me talking anyway, I don't think. So far what I've done is the little yoke pieces at the front of the blouse. So these are the bits that sit here, and then you have the side panels as well. So don't panic when you see these pieces that they look really tiny, because you are going to be adding the side panels too. This is much easier, I have to say, without doing the ruffles. Sorry, not the ruffles, the pin tucks, because they take a little while to get done, obviously. So it is a little bit fiddly, this bit, because you've got to bias bind the neckline, and within that you're also incorporating this button loop, which I always seem to make far too big, and I've even sewn on my button as it said in the pattern, so it's nice to get that out of the way. So my button loop is actually quite big for this button, even though I've gone with quite a big button. So what I've done is just sew a couple of hand stitches to the end of the button loop just to keep the button in place, and I'm going to see how that goes. So the other bit I've done is just to sew the front and back panels together at the shoulder seams. And then next what we need to do is gather the centre panels. So the centre panels are the bits that sort of float out in the middle. and they will be attached to this small yoke piece, and you do that at the front and the back of the blouse. So that's what I'm going to do now. I don't really want this video to become a full sew along. In my mind, I thought it would be a nice relaxing sewing day kind of video that you could have on in the background if you're sewing. So I hope it's going to be that. Let's get on. Okay, we have a bodice, and I'll show you what it looks like. All the panels are done. It actually comes together quicker than you might think, the Marnie, especially if you're not doing the tucks, as I said before. So this is what it looks like at the moment. So you can see, I don't know if you can even see the join. I didn't pattern match in the end, as I said, and I don't think it looks too bad. I mean, it depends how fussy you are about these things. Personally, I'm not really. So if you are more fussy than me, then you might want to try and pattern match. Although I'm not quite sure how you do that. But yeah, because the print is quite busy, I don't think it notices too much. So we are on to the sleeves now. So the sleeves are actually sewn in two parts. You've got your big sleeve head. The sleeve head is quite big because you do have some gathers at the shoulder, and then you have the bottom panel of the sleeve, which is then gathered into the sleeve head, and that's how you get the sort of fitted top sleeve and then the billowy bottom part of the sleeve. So what I'm going to do now is just run all my gathering stitches because they are the most boring, aren't they? I like to get those out of the way, and then get on with the sleeves. And I'm going to see if I can do this in an hour and a half. It's currently 12 o'clock. And I'd like to get this done before I stop for lunch. Sometimes I just set these little goals in my head and I'm not really rushing. I just like to see if I can do it. Let me know if you're the same. I do that with a lot of things around the house, like even housework and stuff. I try to sort of set myself a timer and then try and beat it. Anyway, let's get on. I'm actually pretty much done. The sleeves are in. All I need to do now is the hem, and it's 1:20, so I might meet my goal of finishing by 1:30. When it comes to the hem, I've just needed to level off some of the panels and straighten those, and I think what I'm going to do is just literally overlock the bottom of it and then turn it up. I hardly ever wear Marnie blouses untucked. I always tuck them in, so I'm not super bothered about how the hem looks. It's also quite long as well, which I don't know if you remember, but my very first Marnie blouse I ended up shortening it too much. The front of this blouse is a little bit longer than the back for some reason, and I ended up sort of shortening it all, and now my first one where I wear it tucked in always comes untucked all the time. So I've learnt my lesson, and this time I'm going to just keep the length, overlock, turn up a really small hem, and then it's fine for tucking in. So I'm just going to do that and then we'll be done. Just popped upstairs and had a look for any brown toned fabrics I had that I could make some pumpkins from this afternoon. So I finished my Marnie blouse obviously, and I've packed everything away, but I've left my sewing machine out so that I could just have a go at doing these pumpkins. I had a little rest in between actually because I felt so tired from doing my Marnie blouse this morning, but now that I've had a bit of lunch and had a little rest, I feel like sewing again now. So I didn't have a lot of brown actually, but what I'm going to try is actually to use some ribbing fabric. So I've got quite a lot of this brown ribbing. So I'm going to have a go and see how a pumpkin turns out in that. And the other fabric I found is actually this one, and I don't know how this is going to work as a pumpkin. So this is a remnant of some Atelier Brunette viscose crepe fabric that I had in my stash, and it'd be really nice to use it for something. I'm not sure if it's going to work. It's quite a thin fabric, but as I showed you earlier, my viscose navy pumpkin actually turned out really well, and it's got a really nice sort of squishiness to it. So I'm going to see how it goes. So these pumpkins are super easy to make. You just need a little template like this. It's basically a rectangle, but I do have a video of how to make these from start to finish, which I will link in the description. So I won't go through it all and film it step by step now. I'll just show you a little bit of the sewing process, and I will link that video. And then I have this template on my blog as well, so if you don't want to make your own, then you can always print out my one. So what I'm going to do is, with the stretchy rib fabric, I'm just going to cut this out straight, but with my crepe one, I'm going to actually cut the rectangle on the bias, because what that does is just give it a little bit of stretch, so that you've got a little bit more sort of roundness and shape in the pumpkin. So let's get going.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling.